Hey everyone, I'm Purge and welcome to another anime update. Now, first of all, I was going to break these videos up a bit with another digital board game video. However, I've kind of just spent all my time since the last update video watching anime, so I've watched quite a bit, so I thought I'd get another video done because there's a lot to go over. This video is probably going to be pretty long, so feel free to use timestamps below to get to where you want to get to. Right, first of all, you may have noticed on our profile this new like completed AWC challenges thing. Um, I'll get to what kind of like analyst challenges are in my next video because it's a pretty fun thing to do, and obviously I'll kind of like dedicate the next update video or portion of it to that. Anyway, as for this update, let's get on with one of the first few additions. Let's go to the anime list. Alright, so first of all, you'll see here another custom list is called Recommended Slice of Life. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I asked users here on our list, fellow users, for recommendations for slice of life anime that you would give to somebody who doesn't really watch slice of life. And within not too much time at all, I got 12 recommendations. Yep, 12. So I put it all in this list. And as you can see, there's 9 in there now because I've watched 2, but again, I'll get to that. So basically, it's another list of recommendations. This was standalone shows, this one's slice of life. And that's basically it for the new custom list. Secondly, a change to a list I already had, and that is now, or was, I should say, up next. Up next, as you can see here, is now called Priority. Now, the up next list was fine. It was good. Is very briefly, I had 5 anime on it, and then I would pick anime that I would want to watch next. Either like I would pick from planning or from the recommended list at a random or otherwise, and I would put them on the up next list, and then I would only watch the anime on the up next list, and I would, remove it from the up next list as I was watching it, and then I would pick another one from that, and so on. I would repeat it until all the up next list was gone, and I'd pick another 5. To be honest, it became kind of restrictive, a bit too restrictive, because if you remember, I said the rule I laid out for the up next list was I can only watch stuff on here. There was a couple of exceptions, but for the most part, I could only watch stuff that was on the priority list. So if I wanted to watch something else, maybe on a whim, I'd have to watch every anime on the up next list and then put it on the up next list in the next time I fill it up again and then watch it. Now that seemed a little bit silly because it was completely arbitrary, so I've relaxed it a little bit. Now, up next is actually called Priority. So instead of this list being a list of anime I am going to watch next, forsaking every other anime, now Priority, as I've renamed it, Priority is simply anime I'm giving priority for watching soon. So in other words, there's no restrictions anymore. I can watch whatever I want to watch. If I want to watch like another anime that I've got my own that's not on this list, I can. If I want to watch basically anything I want, I can. It doesn't have to. Simply put, I give priority to these anime here, but it's not set in stone. I can just watch anything I want to watch now. Um, I was toying with the idea of making it bigger than just 5 anime, but I think 5 is a nice number. I think I'll always keep it to 5 on here. But again, there's no restrictions. These are just the anime I'm giving priority. But if I see an anime I want to kind of watch on a whim, obviously, case in point, My Hero Academia Season 7, it was one of them. I'll get to that later. Then I can just watch it. There's no restrictions anymore. So that is the new or renamed priority list. Priority. So simply put, these are now all the anime I'm giving priority to watch soon, but there's no restrictions. I can just still watch whatever I want on a whim. Um, but these are actually anime I'm really interested in. Anyway, so with that said, so we've got the new custom list, the changed list changes. Let's now, as always, go to what anime I've completed since the last update. Now, as you can see, there's quite a few. There's quite a few. So, the first anime I watched since the last update was Akiba Maid War. Now, Akiba Maid War, the story is this girl goes to this town, Akiba, this city, to become a maid in a maid cafe. Little does she know that there's this massive rivalry between maid cafes and the corporations that own them, back them, endorse them. And it's a little bit odd at the start because it feels like you're kind of watching this kind of violent crime story, but it's about maids and maid cafes because there's these like really violent rivalries between them. It's actually a pretty fun watch. It's kind of unique in its setting because again, it feels like this kind of slice of life maid cafe anime, but it's actually this kind of violent, hard hitting crime anime at the same time. It's really unique, and I did actually like it. I gave it a 7. It's pretty good. Obviously, there's stuff that could have been improved. Um, However, I liked it. The story's interesting, unique, and the animation's actually pretty good too. So yeah, Akiba Maid War, I would recommend it. Then I watched a recommendation of recommendation number 19 from my like a standalone shows recommendation list. Is called Vivi Fluorite Eyes Song. This one is about two AIs, one of them being humanoid called Vivi. You can see her on the cover right there. Um, they have a mission to prevent a war between AI and humans that's going to take place 100 years in the future. It's a really unique, really interesting story of trying to change events in the past to get a certain outcome. There's actually quite a few time jumps, time skips in the anime, and it's really interesting to see um, what events transpired in the story and what happened to the characters at certain points in time. Um, some really good characters, really interesting story, and really good animation. I thought it was very good. I gave it an 8. Really, really interesting anime, and I have to be honest, it's got a really good soundtrack as well. So yeah, I would really recommend Vivi Floreto's song. It was very good. Then I moved on to something that wasn't so good, and it was called Plus Sized Elf. Now, um, it's about an elf who goes to I think he's a masseuse, um, to try and lose weight because the gateway that she uses to go from her world to our world has a weight limit of sorts, and she needs to lose weight to get back to her world. And the story kind of goes from there. And other mythical creatures join her because it's not just elves, it's like a dragon and an orc and like an ogre, that kind of thing. There's loads of like kind of mythical creatures in the guise of like these female characters, all wanted to do the same thing, lose weight under the guidance of this guy that's a masseuse. It's very, very episodic. There's no overarching plot or story to get invested in, and the characters are kind of one dimensional. They really have no depth. They have no real motivation apart from wanting to lose weight. I mean, and the animation is okay. It's kinda is pretty mediocre, which is why I give it a 5. To be honest, the episodes, each episode is a 12 episode show, and the episodes are about 11 minutes long. Now, to be honest, if the episodes were full length, I may have dropped it. That may sound a bit harsh, but it's true. So I wouldn't recommend plus size Delve. It's an ecchi, but there's way better ecchis out there. So yeah, that was plus size Delve. Then I moved on to Dead Man Wonderland. Now, Dead Man Wonderland is about this high school kid who's accused of a horrible crime. So he gets sent to essentially a prison called Dead Man Wonderland. Now, and he meets other characters, um, not in the same boat as him, but let's say they're suffering. They're suffering characters in this like prison. However, the whole complex, the whole purpose of this like Dead Man Wonderland is hidden, and it definitely has a different purpose that's not shown to the public. Um, it's basically a battle shonen with superpowers, and it's pretty interesting. I do actually like it. The animation's good. The characters are actually interesting. The powers are quite um interesting as well because they all revolve around like sort of blood manipulation, which is pretty interesting. So I'm saying interesting too much, but anyway, it is pretty good. Um fair warning though, it ends it does end, but there is no ending to this. It just kind of stops, and I never did a season 2 because apparently the company studio that produced the anime went bankrupt. So this never got a season 2. So I would say if you wanted the full story, you would have to read the manga. But I would definitely recommend Dead Man Wonderland. It's good, it's fun. Um, the animations actually are pretty good. The powers are pretty good. But yeah, Dead Man Wonderland, give it a 7. Pretty good. Then I watched the Dead Man Wonderland, the Red Knife Wielder, which is an OVA for Dead Man Wonderland, and it actually goes into the backstory of one of the characters. Now, I assumed it would go into the backstory of that character with the purpose of showing how this character became a prisoner of Dead Man Wonderland. However, it doesn't actually show that. It just shows a little seemingly random story from his past. So it's not all that impactful of interesting. I gave it a 6. It was fine, but it felt kind of irrelevant to the overall story. And I would probably say if you didn't want to bother watching it, you could skip it. But again, it's a 1 episode OVA, so if you've got time, yeah, give it a watch. Then I moved on to Desert Punk. Now, Desert Punk is actually a pretty famous, well-known older anime. It's from 2004. In it, in this post-apocalyptic world, there's this big, huge desert called the Great Kanto Desert, and this guy here, nicknamed Cyberpunk, is a kind of mercenary that does jobs for people for money, and he and the whole kind of story is him getting him trying to get like a better standing in in the world in which he lives by doing jobs for people and that kind of thing. Now I remember quite a while ago when this in a previous anime update when this was on my next list, I said that this guy gets kind of um gets kind of scammed by a woman and loses reputation. That's kind of not true, at least for the start of it. But yeah, think of Desert Punk as a kind of quirky comedy version of Fist of the North Star, and in fact, there is a character, a kind of like a bit part side character in Desert Punk that I'm pretty sure is a clear reference to um the main character from Fist of the North Star, and I was blank on his name then, Ken Shiro from Fist of the North Star. But yeah, it's basically a quirky comedy version of Fist of the North Star. That's what Desert Punk is. Yeah, it's pretty good. I did like it, but the story is a little bit too episodic for me. Again, there's no overarching plot to get invested in. And the biggest problem I had with it is that the character, Desert Punk, the main character, is really, really unlikable. I just didn't like him for the whole thing. I just didn't like him. So that kind of brought it down a little bit, but it is good. And I would recommend it if you can get past uh, how good dislikable the main character is. But there you go. That's Desert Punk. Then I moved on to Kaiju number 8. Now, Kaiju number 8 needs special mention. It's a battle shonen, and before you roll your eyes at another battle shonen, let me tell you, it's just really, really good. In it, in the like the Kaiju number 8 world, the city that the show rolls around is attacked continually by these big monsters called kaiju, and the main character is on the cleanup crew that has to spend their time cleaning up the um, bodies of these monsters after the defense force uh, destroys them. The main character has always wanted to go into the defense force, but he kept on failing. Again, it's not a spoiler when I say this because it literally happens in the first episode, and it's literally implied by everything you've probably seen from either the Kaiju number 8 anime or manga, that he, through a series of circumstances, becomes a kaiju himself, and while still wanting to actually be a member of the defense force, and it kind of goes from there. Now, I will say the story is really interesting. The animation is great. The battles are great. The characters are actually all pretty investable. I thought it was really, really good. I would highly, highly recommend Kaiju number 8. Really good from start to finish. Really, really good. And there's a season 2 coming as well. Also, I want to give special mention to the opening and endings of Kaiju number 8 because the opening is really famous. It's it's a really unique opening with really unique animation. The song that plays on it is, I believe it's called Abyss by a band called Youngblood. It's really, really catchy, really, really good opening. But yeah, just a really good. Actually, I should mention the ending is pretty good too. I can't remember the song name now, but I'm pretty sure the song is by a band called One Republic, I think. But yeah, Kaiju number 8, a real highlight for me over since the last anime update I've done. I give it a 9. Really good, great. It's great. Watch it. You won't be disappointed. That was Kaiju number 8. Then I watched the first recommendation I picked out of my slice of life recommendations, and it was the Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting. Simply put, in it, the story is a Yakuza boss tells his one of his tells his lieutenant who has a reputation for being very, let's say, foolhardy, has a reputation for getting the job done. He's like, his nickname is like the demon, and he tasks him. The Yakuza boss tasks him with looking after his young daughter to try and soften him a bit. And so the story is basically this sort of monster of a Yakuza guy, this battle hardened Yakuza guy, looking after this small, this like small child, and slice of life being a slice of life is about the daily, his daily efforts of actually trying like going to school, interacting with her, that kind of thing. There's obviously peripheral characters all over the place. It's despite it being kind of despite it revolving around Yakuza and stuff and crime, it's surprisingly light-hearted and works pretty well. And I have to be honest, there's some really adorable, kind of wholesome moments in this that's really kind of cute. I I did like. It was very good. Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting. If you like slice of life, definitely watch it. Even if you don't, um, watch it anyway because it might change your mind. Because again, I'm a person who doesn't really watch slice of life. I'm not going to say I don't like slice of life full stop, but I'm not really one to watch it that often. And I really liked it. Really fun, really sweet, cute, wholesome. The animations are good. The characters are good. Yeah, because got to be in. Pretty good. Then I went on to watch an anime that needs no introduction. Jujutsu Kaisen. Now, if you know about, if you're into anime, if you watch anime or read manga, or even if you don't, probably heard of Jujutsu Kaisen, abbreviated to JJK, because it's really, really famous, and it's really famous because it's really good. In it, um, a guy, the main character, who's actually in school, he has a chance encounter with what's called a Jujutsu sorcerer, uh, which they use powers to defeat these entities called cursed spirits. Yeah, it's a battle shonen, but it's really good. And for a series of circumstances, the main character joins this school to become a jujutsu sorcerer himself, and then it goes from there. I will say this: really good animation, good story, good characters, really good battles. There's a character in it. Um, there's a character in it that's not the main character, by the way. There's a character in it that's like just really interesting. His name is like Satoru Gojo, and he's just a really interesting character. That's the picture the way they depict how powerful he is just really, really well done. But Jujutsu Kaisen, just a good story, really good animation, good battles, like the characters. Everything about it is just really good. Right? They spared no expense. I would definitely recommend JJK. If you haven't watched it. I watch it. It's really, really good. Give it an 8. Really good. Very good indeed. Then I watched another slice of life recommendation, which is recommendation number 2, Beastars. Now, Beastars is actually pretty famous. All the characters that you can see is anthropomorphized animals, and they all go to this. In it, all these animals go to this school, and the main character, Legoshi, is a wolf, is a grey wolf. Now, the main focus of the main focus of the first season is, well, the inciting incident is a a herbivore, a herbivore animal gets um eaten by a carnivore animal, and the the tensions and the politics and social standings of um herbivores and carnivores is explored a lot in Beastars to great effect. It's actually really, really interesting to see um this kind of like a societal um problem in the show, that like, big carnivores on like one side, herbivores on the other side. They interact and stuff, they have friends, but there's always these tensions. and it explores, carnivores having to fight their instincts and herbivores having to again fight their instincts. Um, it's just a really interesting show, and there's a central relationship in Beastars that involves the main character Legoshi and like another character that's also really interesting. It just feels really unique. Beastars. It's just a really good, interesting show with really good characters, a good story, and very. It's a very good, interesting commentary on like social political issues um in with the backdrop of animals. It's just really good. Beastars is really interesting, really unique. I would definitely recommend it. Then I watched Jujutsu Kaisen Zero, which is a prequel film. So I don't want to say anything about it because it'll give spoilers. But again, it's really good. It explains some origins of like some characters and maybe even a villain. Again, really good battles, really good animation, really like a really fun watch. I give it an 8. I would definitely recommend watching it. Yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen Zero, the movie, really, really good. Then I watched Beastars Season 2. Now, if I give away any of the story in Season 2, it'd obviously spoil it. But the all I will say is that Season 2 shifts focus quite a bit and changes where the story goes. It's still really good. I would still definitely recommend it. If you like Beastars first season, definitely watch Season 2. There's also a final season coming. It's in the works, so definitely watch. I would definitely recommend Season 2. Just as good as the first season, just as good. Speaking of just as good as the first season, Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, I watched after Beastars Season 2, I watched Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, and I have to be honest, for me, it's straight up better than Season 1 because Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 contains 2 arcs in it. The first arc is 5 episodes and is a prequel to the main story, and it is actually really good and really impactful. And then the rest of the episodes are dedicated to current narrative, dedicated to an arc that progresses the current sort of like present narrative. It's called the Shibuya Incident arc, and let me tell you, it's great. It's awesome. Um, really, really good story. Really good frequent battles. Loads of just really, really kind of elating character moments. There's stuff in like this season that just brought like a massive like smile to my face when I saw it. It just really really good moments in like season 2. That's why I give it a 9. It is in my opinion better than season 1. Definitely give it a watch if you like JJK. Season 2 is great, and there is a season 3 in the works. So yeah, that was Jujutsu Kaisen season 2. Then I watched Terminator Zero. This was a bit of a whim, because it popped up on Netflix, and Terminator Zero is probably for me the only good thing that's come out of the Terminator franchise in a lot of years. So story is a a woman and a Terminator is sent back in time to stop a certain character doing something. And that's really vague. I do apologize for that, but I don't want to give any spoilers. Because even that is a big, even their like missions are like in the end like a big plot point. So yeah, now when I say that, it may, if you've seen the original Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 films, you may think, oh wow, that's actually pretty similar to those films. And I gotta be honest, the initial premise of the story is basically a mix of Terminator 1 and Terminator 2, which um, is fine, it's good, it's entertaining, but it's a bit derivative, it's maybe a little bit low effort, that he didn't really do anything truly original. Also, they kind of set out this time travel lore in Terminator Zero, which is interesting, but when you finish watching the show, you may realize, like I did, that the lore, that the time travel rules, quote unquote rules, set out in Terminator Zero, doesn't really fit, doesn't really work with what the story is trying to tell you with the events. But I did like it. It is good. The animation is great. The action is good too. The characters leave a bit to be desired, and the story is really muddled. Like is a quite a bit muddled. And again, the time travel aspect, as it's set out in the show, doesn't really work for what would like some of the events that happen. It's kind of odd. Now I know people have said this before, but when you do time travel in a show or a movie, you have to be very very careful not to tie yourself up in knots. And I think that's what happened with Terminator Zero. It when you think about it, it doesn't the time travel aspect doesn't work. And I can't obviously go into that because it'll be complete spoilers. But if you're interested, um, leave a comment or contact me on our list, because I wrote up a little post for somebody that actually asked what he thought of the show on our list, and I wrote up the problem right there. So if you want to see it, like, leave a comment. Anyway, that was Terminator Zero. Yeah, pretty good. Um, I would recommend it, but be prepared for stuff that kind of doesn't really work due to the time travel aspect. Right. Moving on to the Eminence in Shadow. Now, the Eminence in Shadow is an isekai. I know what you're thinking. Again, roll your eyes, because isekais are a dime a dozen now, and if you have, I don't know why you wouldn't, but if you have no idea what an isekai is, simply put, an isekai is a name given to an anime that has a character transported from our world, the normal world, to another world, whether it be like a sort of fantasy world or magical world, like some other world, just they get transported to another world. That's an isekai. In it, the main character just wants to get really, really strong and really powerful, and he wants to become the Eminence in Shadow. And that's what he wants. That's his motivation. He just wants to become strong. So he trains every day. Then, and this is not a spoiler because it literally happens in the first episode, then he ends up dying in a car crash, and then he gets transported to a fantasy world where magic exists. So then he becomes, and again, this is kind of like, so obviously now he's got a chance to become even more powerful because now magic exists, and it kind of goes from there. Now, what's really interesting about this is that um, he kind of recruits um, other characters to be in a group with him, and they all see him as this almost god-like figure. They actually call him Lord Shadow, but his only motivation is to get stronger and further his own interests. When the characters around him in his group think that he's fighting this cult, but it's actually something that the main character made up to tell them. But they are fighting the cult, and it is actually real at the same time. Um, it does, and I should also mention the main character breaks the fourth wall, and becomes kind of like sort of meta the entire time, because he constantly mentions that he wants to be this kind of like background character, and he constantly mentions how he needs to do this thing to actually make it better for the story. He needs to do this thing because this would be good for like what happens to like the background character. it constantly breaks the fourth wall, constantly like goes meta, but in context, it really works. It's not overly done. No other characters do it apart from him, and it's only him saying it as an inner monologue, so it just works because it's actually really subtle. I gotta be honest, it is very, very good. It's really fun, really entertaining. The juxtaposition, the difference between the kind of contrast between sort of main character just out for himself, just kind of wanting to be the main character and wanting to get all this power, all this money, as opposed to all the people that are around him that are actually in his group fighting to save the world, is really interesting. The animation is really, really good. The um the battles are really, really good. They do an amazing job of showing just how powerful, constantly like continually just like showing just how powerful the main character is. Really impressed with it. The Eminence of Shadow, really good. Really, really good. So then, as you can imagine, I moved on to season two. Now, I can't say really anything about the story of season two because again, it'll just like spoil it. But season two is really good as well. It's actually almost half the length for some reason of season one, but it's still really good. They do manage to pack quite a bit of story in there. Um, there's like kind of changing something happens in season two that kind of changes the kind of perspective of the story a bit, but then gets um, but then you may find it's like justified, you may not. Which I thought was a little bit jarring. But but again, the story continues. It keeps up the quality of the first one quite well. The only reason I didn't think it was quite as good as the first season because it doesn't have that kind of purity of focus that the first season did. Not quite. And there is a there is a season three in the works as well. But I would really recommend the Eminence in Shadow. It's a really, really good, really fun isekai that you should definitely give a watch. Then I watched Demon Slayer. Now, just like JJK, if you know anything about anime, if you watch anime, or you read manga, or even if you don't, chances are you probably know about Demon Slayer because it's a really famous, yep, battle shonen. But it's really famous, it's really well liked, and it's really famous and really well liked for a reason because it is really good. Um, so the story, the main character, Tanjiro, and again, this is going to sound like a spoiler, but it isn't. It's literally the first episode. Literally the first episode. Okay, I'm not going to spoil it actually because it's impactful. So all I'll say is that something happens to the main character, this kid, Tanjiro, that sets him on a path to becoming a demon slayer. And demon slayers are people that have skills and powers and use swords to they're essentially like sort of magic using swordsmen, for lack of a better term, that fight demons. And demons are these vampire like creatures that eat people. So there you go. And they fight against them. Um, it's really good. The one thing that Demon has a reputation for is amazing animation, and Demon Slayer has amazing animation, and consequently, everything just looks good. Everything is really well done. The battles, the background scenery, the characters, everything is really, really good. Now, Demon Slayer doesn't really do in the context of a battle shonen, doesn't really do anything different. You know, you've got the kind of Heart of Gold main character, you got the training, you got the like sort of progressively getting stronger, you've got like the sort of main antagonist kind of thing. But even though it's not really that original, like what it does is really, really well done. yeah, it's got the heart gold character, but it's really well done. Yeah, it's got the training, but it's really well done. It's got the slow power like progression, yeah, but it's really well done. I really liked it. The characters are good. The animation is stunning. The battles are good. Just a really, really good show. Demon Slayer. I would highly recommend it. Then I moved on to season two. It's called the Mugen Train arc because it covers the Mugen Train story arc, and it's a direct continuation of season one. And again, it's only like a 7 episode, but it is actually very good too. Everything they said about season one stands really good. Animation, really good battles. It's just all good. I don't want to go too deep into it because again, anything I say from this point will probably be like do with the story will probably be considered spoilers. But again, very very good, very very good. Mugen Train. Then I moved on to season three, which is called the Entertainment District arc because it covers the Entertainment District arc of the story. And I have to be honest, this is probably highlight of the entire show so far for me. Is it does some really good stuff, and I know this word epic is used too often nowadays. I don't really tend to use it, but I have to be honest. The last few episodes of this arc of the this season, technically the third season, is just epic. It's just amazing. It's just really, really good, which is why I gave it a 9 as opposed to like 8, which I gave season 1 and 2. Entertainment District arc, really, really good. Highly recommended. So then I watched Gauchi the Cellist. Now, Gauchi the Cellist is a movie that's quite short, it's an hour long, and the story rolls around a guy called Gauchi who plays the cello. He's a professional musician, and he just wants to get better at playing the cello, and that's basically what the story's about. I gotta be honest, it's a Ghibli film. It's a Studio Ghibli film before Studio Ghibli was even a thing. So it's called like a pre-Ghibli film, and I only watched it for a challenge, an analyst challenge, which I'll get to in a probably the next anime update video. But I didn't get a lot out of it. It's from like 80. It's an 80s anime, and consequently the animation is not that good. And I gotta be honest, I didn't get a lot out of the story as well. For me, it's kind of like it's kind of wholesome, but it's story feels kind of like empty to me and like uneventful. But that's just me. I know people like relate this film, but yeah, I give it a 6. It's fine, but I wouldn't watch it again. So then I moved on to the fifth season of Demon Slayer, called the Swordsmith Village arc. Again, I can't go into the story because it'll just be all spoilers at this point, but again, a very good arc. Everything stands that makes Demon Slayer really good. Got really good animation, really good battles, good story progression for the characters. There's some actually pretty good like character development in this season as well. Yep, just real good stuff. Real good stuff. And then for the last thing I completed, for the last time I completed since the last update, oh, lo and behold, it's more Demon Slayer. So I watched season 5 of Demon Slayer, which is called the Harisha training arc. And again, no story spoilers, can't go into the story, but again, everything that makes Demon Slayer good stands. Got good animation, it's got good battles, good story progress. You've got some like pretty interesting character development here as well. Um, you'll find in Demon Slayer that quite a lot of the characters have these like kind of really tragic backstories. So, but they're well done. But just loads of characters have it. But yeah, character training arc really good as well, and that's not the end of Demon Slayer. Um, Demon Slayer is actually going to be ended with a trilogy of movies that will depict the last arc of the manga. Is called the Infinity Castle arc. So yeah, that's how Demon Slayer is going to end with 3 movies. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I would highly, highly recommend Demon Slayer. It's one of the most consistently very good anime I've ever seen. The quality is consistently up there. Really, really good. Not a bad season in sight. Really good stuff, Demon Slayer, and I'm looking forward to the movies. So yeah, that was Demon Slayer. Harisha Training Arc. Anyway, that is, after all that, that is everything that I watched slash completed since the last update. So now we'll go on to what I've been watching. So first up, let's let you get away. Yeah, I'm still watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Since the last update. I think I watched 8 episodes. It's still good. I should really, again, I say this like every single time, but I should really watch more of it. But yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! I watched like 8 more episodes. Still good, and hopefully I'll finish it one day. Moving on. So I started to watch. I did start season 7 of My Hero Academia. I'm 2 episodes into it now. Everybody, everybody, whether you're into anime, just like JJK and like Demon Slayer, but even more so for this, everybody, whether you're into anime or manga or not, you probably would have heard of My Hero Academia because it's insanely popular. It's really, really popular. It's a massive franchise. It's got the TV show, it's got 7 seasons, it's got multiple movies, it's got multiple OVAs. It's massive. My Hero Academia franchise is massive. And it's massive because it's just really good. I talked about consistently good with Demon Slayer. In my opinion, I know people like to hate on like My Hero Academia nowadays because it's really popular, probably. But um I think My Hero Academia is a really consistently good bar shonen. That's just really fun. Now again, it being season 7, I can't really go into the story, but so far it's kept up that really good My Hero Academia quality. It had a really good story start. Again, the animation is like really well done. Yeah, I'm only 2 episodes into it, but it's shaping up to be like a really good season. Um, Also, I will say that if you've watched, seasons 1 to 6, it's been quite a while since you've actually seen My Hero Academia, and you need a memory refresh of the story. You can do what I did, and because a 4 episode special was released called My Hero Academia Memories. It's a recap that recaps all the events up until series 7, and each episode adds a couple minutes of like new footage. I watched it to fresh memory of like because I basically forgotten quite a lot of stories, so I watched it to um refamiliarize myself with the story again. Now I haven't tracked it on um Analyst because Analyst doesn't actually have recaps. They don't do recaps on Analyst. So no recaps are here. So Memories isn't here, but I did actually watch it. So I would highly recommend you watch it if you need a story refresh. So that's everything I've been watching so far. Now we're going to what's on the priority list. So first up, we have the 20th recommendation from standalone shows. Yep, picked from this recommendation list here, called Tier Moon Empire. The only thing I know about it is that a princess, and this is not a spoiler because it's literally the synopsis of the show, a princess dies and then gets reincarnated as a younger girl. That's what I know about it, but it's one it was recommended to me. So I'm looking forward to watching it. Then, next up is Violet Evergarden. I've been wanting to watch this for a while because it's really, really well liked. Um, Everybody seems to really like Violet Evergarden, and for the life of me, I can't remember what it's even about. I'm afraid. So we'll have to when I start watching it, I'll tell you then. But yeah, Violet Evergarden is on there. Apparently, it's really well liked. Then Steins Gate. Now, Steins Gate, the anime, is based on a visual novel that's again really well liked. It's to do with time travel and like changing past events, that kind of thing. But it's really well liked. The visual novel is really popular, and everybody said the anime is really good too. So Steins Gate is on there. Then I put B Tomb. B Tomb is basically a kind of battle royale death game survival anime. That's all I know about it. But you know, I do like battle royale death game survival animes, so I put B Tomb on here. And I'm pretty sure B Tomb was mentioned in the Trash Taste podcast. If you don't know what that podcast is, it's it's an anime podcast where three guys talk about anime, among other things. But yeah, that's B Tomb. And then I put a recommendation, uh, like recommendation number 3, Slice of Life, which is obviously from this list, um, on here, and it's called Kaguya-sama Love is War. Now, this is actually like a really popular anime. Like, this is quite famous. This anime, really well liked. All I know about it is that it's a romance anime set in this prestigious academy. That's all I know about it, but it's really well liked. It's apparently really good, so I'm looking forward to that one too. So, folks, well done if you made it this far. This has been a long one, and so that is everything covered. The new recommended list. Up next is now priority. Everything complete. Everything I completed. Everything I'm watching. Everything I've got on priority. All good. And that's it for the update. And I really hope you liked the video. And if you did, maybe give it a like, maybe give it a subscribe, give it a comment. It all helps out. It's all good. And I'll see you next time. Bye for now.